Hey guys, Dantics here, back with another Borderlands 3 video. This time we're going through the September 27th hotfix. I knew this was coming, guys. I knew that all these changes were coming. I just didn't know when. So we're going to go through weapon hotfixes. That means you're going to be playing completely differently on Mayhem 3 because all these manufacturers have been changed. We also have a change to Graveward, yet again, changing how you play on Mayhem 3. We have other miscellaneous changes and changes to the Vault Hunters themselves. So Zane, my man, is going to be slightly more useful. So let's start off with the fact that you can actually farm crew challenge enemies now because they have specific loot. But prior, they weren't dropping very often. So you can farm those guys now. Let's jump straight into the weapon hotfixes here. Sniper rifles. Sniper rifles aren't really good in Borderlands 3, or they weren't good previously. I'm not sure how this change will change that up, but it's too much chaos. There's too much chaos in Borderlands 3 to make sniper rifles brilliant. But you know what? If something is going to fix it, it will be this. Aim down sights and time to equip. That change in itself makes it a lot easier to use, as you'll be able to look down the sights quicker, line up a headshot quicker, and then switch out to another weapon in a timely fashion. It's not going to cost you too much. So maybe using a sniper now is going to be more effective. Now, as we all know, pistols. Jacobs and Torque were superior, mostly Jacobs, let's be real. So they identified the problem as groups of enemies at a much higher rate than other pistols. So they believe that these pistols can clear out enemies at a much higher rate, and that's especially true for Jacobs pistols and their legendary forms. But I think they should have probably just changed the fact that ricocheting bullets deal the full amount. I think that probably should be toned down, or maybe the splash damage on the Torque pistol should have been toned down. That would have helped instead of reducing the overall damage. But you know what? All the others are increased, so we'll be seeing a lot of different builds now. Like, Children of the Vault pistols weren't anything to scoff at previously, but now we're going to see how they're going to perform. I really think, though, that TDR pistols needed a boost. TDR as a manufacturer just simply doesn't work right now. It just burns through way too much ammo. But maybe this will change. So Maliwan weapons had reduced overall damage before because the dot rate and the damage was greater than other manufacturers when it comes to elemental effects. However, that was toned down before launch, and the overall damage wasn't tuned back up to compensate. So now they're just bumping up the damage and the fire rate, and that is a significant amount. All Maliwan weapons, that includes pistols, so keep that in mind. All. So maybe the crappy charge rate that some of their weapons have, how you have to charge them up before you fire, maybe that won't be too bad now because of that boost. But I don't know, they just don't appeal to me. Atlas, they relied on a game loop that we felt gave players a greater advantage when used correctly. They're talking about the fact that you throw out a tracking dart, or you throw out a tracking bomb, and all the enemies that are tracked, your bullets or your whatever rockets will home in on them even around corners. However, the damage doesn't compensate for the time to set up, which is 100% true. So now the damage on the Atlas weapons are boosted by 25%. That's just another flat 25% boost. That's not going to Jacobs or Torque, which is fair enough. And now miscellaneous adjustments. The Jacob assault rifle change was to differentiate the assault rifle from the pistol, because let's face it, the pistol was just superior. As you were leveling though, there was some good Jacobs assault rifles, but late game, not so much. Since the assault rifles have a low magazine size to compensate against other assault rifles, they're getting a slight increase to overall damage to compensate. Dahl SMGs had their fire rates adjusted down before launch, but their damage was never significantly increased, so they feel they should be more appropriate compared to other SMGs. But if this affects the Stranger Things legendary that has like 3 shots that hit for like 600 each, that will be absolutely nuts. SMG damage increased by 10%. Oh, that could be crazy. Anyway, and the Vladof heavy weapon damage has been increased to share the full heavy weapon treatment. Okay, so we got Jacob's assault rifle damage increased by 20%. That is a lot. Dahl SMG damage only increased by 10%, but that could mean a lot, because Dahl traditionally are extremely accurate, low recoil, fast fire rate, fast reload guns. They're nuts. So I don't, well, extra damage is going to be great, but it just, I don't know how this is going to perform if Dahl's just going to become superior, but we'll see. Vladof heavy weapon damage increased by 25%, that's a large amount. E-Tech TDR shotgun damage increased by 50%. That's definitely needed, but that is a big boost. That is a big boost. Leveling, you are definitely going to notice this. Legendary modifications. We're going to be making a larger, comprehensive legendary gear pass, but we have included the following changes. So keep in mind, they're going to fine-tune legendary gear. Again, this is just a hot fix, okay? But this is 100% needed. We do need a lot of changes, because a lot of the legendary weapons we're simply not using because they don't even do as much as, say, an epic or a rare weapon. Anyway, the King's and Queen's Call were modified to lower the fire rate. That definitely 100% was not the problem. That was not the problem. But we're going to address some of the problem down here. The problem with King's Call and Queen's Call were that they could essentially fire forever if you got crits, and you can get a guaranteed amount of crits with Flak. Anyway, the weapon has a limited burst shot count, so overall feel of the gun isn't dramatically affected. Okay, it kind of is though. Fire rate reduced by 50%. I don't think it's going to destroy this weapon. This weapon's still going to be really, really good, and it's going to reward, you know, like good plays, and it's going to reward Flaks that use fadeaway. But I don't know. I don't think that's the right change. Maybe it should have only ricocheted 2 projectiles instead of 3. Maybe that would have tuned it up, but who knows. Graveward. You might have noticed this, but the beams just simply do no damage to you. I was jumping through them like, oh, maybe I'm missing like the hitbox or something, but no, they just simply didn't do damage. So that's been changed. Now this enemy is going to be quite a bit harder, to say the least. Players will find this attack more lethal now. In addition, Graveward is a very large enemy and is too easily susceptible to elemental damage. Elemental damage on Graveward is now greatly reduced to compensate. Graveward's overall health was reduced. So attacks of Graveward now scale based on level, so he will hit harder. Reduced overall health by 20%, it's quite large, but increased resistances, elemental resistance chance by 70%. So yeah, you're not gonna dot this down, but someone like Mose, who can just get a particular legendary Vladof sniper and burn it down in seconds, is not gonna care about this. In fact, Mose is gonna find it easier to take down the Graveward now. This doesn't really seem like it's going to hurt Graveward farm that much. Anyway, miscellaneous changes. Hollow Point Guardian rank has been temporarily disabled. We plan on addressing this further. So this was the one that was killing teammates. So of course, naturally you don't want a Guardian point that you can't remove that is killing you and your teammates. So that's been handled for now until they can fix it. Vault Hunters should no longer scream when affected by a dot while shields are active. Now, I might overlay the tweet on top of this, but Joshua Davison replied to me. He's the sound producer on Borderlands 3, and basically said they were going to make this change because look, playing through the game and just constantly hearing Mose have that screamy, orgasmy sound while she's getting burnt alive was a little much, you know. I had to put on headphones when I normally like playing with speakers. I have nice speakers, I want to use them. Alright, vending machines will now be restocked with high quality items of the day. Thank you, please. I never use the vending machine. Ugh, that's so good. Adjusted a visual concern on Maliwan shotguns with the cryo element. Legendary loot drops have been balanced throughout the game. Now, this is a big one that they kind of glance over. That's a one line. This could change things because legendary drops are pretty common. They are extremely common. In Borderlands 2, getting a legendary was quite rare, but in Borderlands 3, I have maxed my bank out with level 50 legendaries. Maxed my characters out with level 50 legendaries, and I didn't get the game early. I was playing at the same time as you guys. So, crew challenge enemies will now drop their specific loot, like we mentioned before, and some enemies like Troy and Rampager were a bit more stingy and no longer drop legendaries every kill, because Troy kept dropping his damn pistol. It made sense, I get it, but whatever. Alright, Vault Hunter adjustments. Now this is a big one. Zane's gadgets were great at providing additional utility. No, they weren't. They really weren't, only the barrier was. The utility was there, but lacked impact as players leveled up. We increased the digicone damage with all equipped weapons so the skill can scale better with players as they get to higher levels and higher content. I really hope that means that the double agent tree capstone is actually something that you'd consider. It's something useful now. Pop that down and now it does decent damage. Because on paper it looks like it would, especially when it consumes 3 grenades to pop out a stronger clone, but it doesn't really in application because it just doesn't fire fast enough and it just doesn't apply the damage well enough. So hopefully this 38% helps. The drone requires a lot of player involvement to take. What? No, it doesn't. You just press the key and target. That's it. There's not much involvement. And increasing base damage as well as augments will greatly increase the drone's versatility. Okay, so damage increased by 50%. It's not really going to improve it that much when it's doing 1 damage to badasses per hit. Just, yeah. Cryo bullets, damage penalty removed. Cool. Drone damage increase, rocket damage increase, almighty ordnance rockets damage increased by 75%. So overall, a little bit of a buff for Zane. So hopefully the drone and the digiclone are actually useful now. We'll have to try it out. We'll have to do a bit of testing, but any buff is welcome. Then Amara, Guardian Angel health restored reduced from 100% to 50%. I don't really think Amara needed a nerf, but okay. Glamour damage penalty reduced from 30% to minus 10%. That's pretty good. At least she got a buff. Now, Flak. This is the big one, guys. This is the one that will make a lot of Flak players mad because they rolled him to be OP. Gorillas in the Mist, the modification that makes it so you stay stealth until the duration is up, even if you shoot. The penalties were greatly outweighed by its benefits. That's basically where it is. So we wanted to remove this playstyle. They wanted to remove it so, guns like your King and Queen's Call, here they are, don't make you completely overpowered and don't make it so there's only really one true build for Flak. So Gorillas in the Mist, duration reduced from 8 seconds to 6 seconds, and the crit damage bonus is only 25%. Will that destroy Flak? Nah, it won't. 6 seconds is a long time, guys. It's only a 2-second difference. And you were melting bosses in seconds. Okay, now you'll melt it in a couple of seconds. So yeah, those are the changes, guys. Tell me what you think in the comments. I think that this is a good thing because there'll be a lot more weapons we can now utilize. We can now potentially have a sniper rifle in our build. We can now potentially use Maliwan. We can now potentially use Duel and Children of the Vault, and this opens the doors to more because we know that more legendary changes are coming. We know that legendary drops have been balanced, so maybe the crappy legendary that you can't use now is useful. So after this patch drops, be sure to test everything out. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you've enjoyed this content. If you have, leave a like, leave a comment, obey, you know the drill. Thank you so much, and I'll be back with more Borderlands 3.